What's up, everyone? I'm going to go ahead and take you through an alternative controlled articular rotations routine. So one of the things that I've been seeing more and more as I work with different populations, especially as I assist here at the physical therapy clinic with Fabian, is the idea of some of the older or less mobile people really do struggle with some of the cars. Now, the cars are hard. I mean, you do a standing hip car the right way, it's hard. Shoulder car can be very hard. So what we want to do is not discourage these individuals, but give them something that is somewhat of a regression in order to really let them work up to it. Now, it's the same thing, you can use enough tension to make these hard, just like the regular cars. And also, it's important to say that you should be working towards doing the full cars routine. So we call these kind of the basic 5 at the clinic. I teach them a little bit different than Fabian does, but these are definitely influenced strongly by him. And when I went to Dublin, I did my workshop there, and even some of the people I've been talking to here in New York City, they work with an older population, and some of them have struggled with a lot of these. So the other thing about it is it's really a little bit easier to do these. So when we talk about morning cars, 100% tension hip cars are not morning cars, but the hip car that I'm going to show you now, which can really kind of be a pelvic hip car, is going to actually be a lot easier to perform, especially in terms of I just woke up, I don't want to radiate as hard as I can and go through a full hip car. So let's get started. First and foremost, we're going to start with the neck. When we do the neck, I also want to point out another thing that Fabian's actually taught me, and that's the idea of changing the eye focus, meaning I actually do look straight at the camera the whole entire time. So as I do my rep, I'm continually looking at the camera. That will make your rep smaller, so the actual circle will be smaller, but it's also going to really help train the brain in a different way. So I'm not going to show you that in terms of going through the rep, but just know I would totally work in. It's the same circle, you're just keeping your eyes focused on something. Talking, looking, and teaching and doing it, all 7 of those things at once, I'd rather just let you know, do some reps where you're keeping your eyes fixed on a point. So with our neck, we never want to feel any closing angle pain. Any closing angle pain would feel like a pinch. So if you do feel that, back out of it, don't go into that. We're going to start off with our hands by our side. Exhale your air out. Sniff some air in and trap it down low. So it's almost like you have an ab shield, you have some nice tension in your core, and that way it's like we're almost like we're going to pick up a heavy weight. From here, we're going to work on just slowly pulling our chin away from the camera or making a double chin, and then you're just going to roll your chin down. You should feel the neck shortening in the front, and you should feel a little bit of opening sensation in the back, like a little bit of a stretch. Now from here, I don't want to side bend, so I'm not trying to listen to my shoulder. I actually want to track my chin on my chest in rotation. Once I fully rotate, then I can start to tilt my head, go to the side. I should feel everything on the left side right now. So everything's opening and stretching on the left, and then I can start to tilt my chin back. As I come back, I should feel the front of my neck stretching all the way around, eventually finding my shoulder again. Rotating. You're going to do 3 reps at least in each direction, but I'm going to reverse directions and just show you 1 in the other direction. Remember, rotate first, then you can side bend and extend all the way around. Good. Okay. Quick review. As I go to the right, I feel the left stretching, so it's always the opposite side. As my chin goes up, I feel the front stretching, not the back, so we don't want any pinching. When we extend back, we don't want to tilt our head back. We want to think about it getting long and up. This is the difference between going all the way up and back and just going back like this and collapsing. We want to promote length, so up and back. Really easy for people to do that. The other biggest mistake I see is instead of rotating, people just side bend. Don't side bend, okay? Next, we're gonna go into our thoracic spine. So this is our upper back. So for our upper back, I like to do it with the actual stability ball, but for the purpose of this kind of routine, most people aren't gonna have the stability ball at their house, so I wanna show you like this. So we can go ahead and cross our arms just like this. Abs are gonna get nice and tight. We're gonna go through the same breathing procedure, pulling abs in, getting tight. Slowly round your upper back. The goal is not to move from the lower back down. From there, I'm gonna rotate to the side, so similar to the neck. Now I'm gonna do a little bit of a side bend, just like you listen to your shoulder with your ear on the neck. Now I'm going to extend, coming all the way up. Now I'm gonna rotate. Then I'm gonna go ahead and get a little bit of flexion as I round out that corner and eventually rotate forward. So I'll show you this one from the side and go the opposite direction. So I'm here, belly button pulls in. From here down doesn't move, so especially lower back, I don't want my hips to move. So the first part is just rounding my upper back. Notice that I didn't do this, okay? So belly button's pulling in, I'm staying here. I also don't want to be here. So my hips didn't necessarily move, but I went too far forward instead of actually rounding. So I'm going to the left, so I'm going to rotate to the left. Notice my hips didn't turn. So again, this hip's working hard to stay that way. Now from there, side bend, then extend, rotate all the way to the right, down, all the way in. Okay, so there's one rep in each direction. We want to do 3 of them at least. So there's neck, there's thoracic. Now we're going to kind of do our hips, which is really going to start off with the pelvis. Now in terms of stance, we can be anywhere with our stance. What I like to get people to do is just get a little bit wider to where they're comfortable, but they're not in a full split. What this is going to do is light up the adductors, and we're going to get a little bit more feeling with that. What we want to do is have our hands on our hips for this one. We're going to still go through the same breathing procedure. Exhale everything out. Sniff some air. Trap it down low so you feel some tension in your lower abdominals. Now from here, we're going to break this one down so it's a little bit more simple. So first, I can keep my abs tight so I'm not moving through my spine at all, and I can just push my hips forward. As I push my hips forward, this is the opening side. So I should feel a stretch in the front. Depending how far your feet are away from each other, you're going to feel different things. Now I shouldn't feel any pinching or any pain in my back. What I don't want you to do is crank on your lower back. So you're still staying tight in the abs. We're just driving our hips forward a little bit. Everything else is relatively stacked. Okay? From there, we're going to go ahead and keep the tension in our abs, and we're going to go ahead and do a hip hinge. So you're hinging back. Now my hamstrings are stretching. I shouldn't feel any pinching in the front of my hip. So there's forward and back. Most people are going to be a little bit less than this. Maybe it looks like this. Now we're back to the middle. I just want to break it down even further so everybody sees the understanding. So I'm going to go ahead and just hip hinge to the side. So I'm just going to do a little bit of the side. Notice I'm doing side bend like this. My spine is staying intact. Ideally, these lines would stay straight. I should really feel a good stretch on the inside of this thigh, and I should feel like I'm sitting onto my right side. Now from here, I can go the other way. My legs are completely straight. There are variations where you could bend your knees, but ideally keep them straight. I lock out this way. Now I feel that. So inside of the thigh here, and I might even get some good opening on this side of the hip too, since this is relatively stretching. So there's forward, back, side to side. Now we just got to draw a circle. So I'm forward, feet are gripping the ground strong. Then I'm to the side as I just draw that circle. Back. This way. All the way around. Starting to feel the front stretch now. Reverse directions, 1 rep the other way. All the way back. All the way around. And then I'm all the way forward. Good, okay? So there's the hip version for like kind of a regressed, okay? Now within that, we did skip lower back, which is pretty important. So what I like to do is kind of just do just a few of these. So just give someone some awareness. Slight knee bend, and they're just gonna go ahead and arch their lower back as much as they can. And then they're gonna go ahead and tuck under as much as they can. Arch, tuck under. Okay, so just to get some of the stuff moving. nice and easy. You're gonna feel your lower back work here. You're not gonna feel it pinch though. So make sure you don't feel that, okay? Definitely work your way up to cat-cow. So for someone that has a little bit of a harder time getting on the ground and getting back up, this is a really good happy medium for them, but you should be working towards cat-cow. Get strong, so getting on the ground and getting back up isn't too hard for you, okay? Now what we're gonna go to is knees. For knees, we're actually gonna use a yoga block ideally. So what we would do is we'd put the yoga block in between our feet. I'm trying my best to show you guys this with nothing. So we're gonna show you without it. Now this one is one of those ones we want to be really delicate with, especially with the population that we're talking about. But if you look at this line right here, that's really what we like to call the eye of the knee or the tibia, and we can use that as our marker, okay? If you are someone who's a trainer or something like that, yes, we're definitely moving through the hips here, but again, remember this is a happy medium, and we're just trying to get a little bit more global movement into the joints every day. So notice how my knee is going in and out. My hip is definitely moving, but I want to try to keep my ankles and my feet locked into the ground. You're going to see a little something in them, but we want to try to just feel tension in those. So there's in and out. Obviously, in is a classic position to get hurt in. That doesn't mean we want to avoid it, but you shouldn't feel any pain throughout any of this stuff. So again, we can draw our circle forward and back, in and out. So I'm going to start in, gripping. I'm going to go all the way forward. Then I'm going to come all the way out, all the way back. Eventually straighten my legs out. I don't have to hyperextend them. I can straighten them out, just feel a little quad squeeze. I'm gonna do one more in that direction. So I'm in, forward, all the way out. Okay, reversing directions. I'm going out, all the way forward, in, and back. Try to keep your circles small and slowly build them up. So we don't necessarily need to make them as big as they possibly can be. The last one's gonna be ankle. For ankle, I'm just gonna grab something. For the most part, we usually just put somebody on a table, so you can just kind of sit down on the table for this one. But this is just right next to me, so I'm gonna grab that. We do wanna be a little bit more particular with ankle. So I am trying to see if I can keep my knee from moving in and out, and I want my ankle to do the work. So I can just get to here. I'm gonna keep this locked in. I can keep some feedback on. I'm not necessarily blocking it, just keeping it there for feedback. Then I'm gonna come all the way down, try to touch the ground using my calves. My calves should be contracting. Then I'm gonna go in. Then I'm gonna come all the way up, rotate out, down, reverse directions, out. When I go out and I'm everting my ankle, what I want to think about is trying to actually pull the pinky toe towards me and then rotate. Good. Okay. And lastly, we could go ahead and do some big toe lifts. So we could lift just the big toe, and then we could lift just the other toes without letting your ankles move in and out. And that should be a nice little easy routine to get everything, or for the most part, get some things waking up and going. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Really, again, something that you should be working towards doing the full CARS routine every single day. But if you're just getting started, or you're working with an older population, or you're part of an older population, mom, if you're watching this, please start doing these every single day. Someone that I made it thinking about was you, so let's make that happen. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to let me know. See you next time.